Good morning, Pesahim, Samech Zayin, Amoud Aleph. We're speaking about Korban Pesach. Just to give you guys a little recap. Korban Pesach has an halakha that if a person is tameh, an individual person is tameh, whether he is tameh, tamemet, and tameh means he came in contact with the corpse. If he is a mitzorah, that means he's a leopard. Or I'll go like this: he's a zav. He has seminal emissions which are coming from a spiritual illness. Or if he's a mitzorah, that is like a sort of spiritual leopard, he cannot bring Korban Pesach. What is the halakha of a person that cannot bring Korban Pesach? It's pushed off 1 month later, at least if he didn't do it on purpose, and that is going to be called Pesach Sheni. Pesach Sheni is exactly 1 month later. He's allowed to bring Korban Pesach, and he can eat the Korban Pesach. It's not Yom Tov for him, but he gets the benefits of the Korban Pesach 1 month later. The thing is, if you read the pasuk, and I want you to see the pasuk on page Samech Vav Amoud Bet. If you look in Torah Or HaShalem, my mistake, yes. Where is it? I'm looking for it. Where is it? In my Torah Or, you know what? Go to Torah Samech Zayin Amud Aleph, pasuk Aleph. Daber ben Yisrael nemor ish ish ki yeh tameh nefesh. Ish ish, we're going to use those words, a man that will be tameh nefesh, or b'derech rechuka, or he's too far away, lachem, or lidorotechem, yaseh v'yasa pesach lashem. And he's going to do the Pesach Sheni. This guy's tameh, he can't do it, he has to do Pesach Sheni.
What's the ish ish?
You're going to see ish ish, you're going to see what it is. It's all types of tameh people. Because here it only says tameh med, but it's also going to be a zav, also going to be a mitzvah. They also can do Pesach Sheni. Okay, that's what we know. Now the question.
We learned that it's individual. It's not like
So that's what we want to see. We're going to look at that right now.
It, no?
Yeah, we saw. I'm going to repeat to it because we're going to go into that again. Now, what is the halakha with the tzibur? So one guy individual is tameh, we push him out the next one. What about a tzibur? What about a community? The whole community, everybody. There's no paradumak. Do we do Korban Pesach on the 15th of Nisan, or are we pushed off? So there's two ways to learn this pasuk. Rabbi Yochanan says ish ish doesn't do Pesach. He's pushed off the next month. So the person doesn't do Korban Pesach, but the community does do Korban Pesach. And this is called hutra b'tzibur. Tuma hutra b'tzibur. When a person is in state, when a community is in a state of impurity, so we push it off. It is mutar, and you're actually allowed to bring the Korban Pesach on that very day. When it comes, that is the way of Rabbi Yochanan learns. Resh Lakish learns in a different way. Maybe no. Maybe you don't say it like that. Maybe we don't say it like that. The way we say it is that only a person, how do we look at it? We're ish ish, only a person. But a person can go to the next month. And maybe a community doesn't get not today and not get the next month. So there's two ways to learn it. So Rabbi Yochanan said we learn it, that the community can do it today. And Resh Lakish has to learn from another pasuk. Resh Lakish learned from another pasuk. When we do that pasuk, let's go back again to the bottom of Samech Vav Amud Bet. He learns like this. How do we know that a Korban Pesach can be brought in a state of impurity? Second to last line. El Amar, third word, and Amar Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish, Miacha, v'yishlechu min ha'machane kol tzarua, v'kol zav, v'kol tameh nefesh. This is another halakha. This is speaking about a guy who's impure. A guy's impure, you know that the halachot we're going to speak about today, that he's not allowed to stay in certain, in the Jewish encampment. And there are three Jewish encampments, just for sake of clarity, which we'll see later. One is called Machane Shechina. It is where the Azara of the Bet Mikdash, the inner part of the Bet Mikdash. There is the Har HaBayit, the whole place where the Bet Mikdash is, and then there is the whole Jerusalem. So these are three machanot. So by the way, the halachot is that a person is tamemet, needs to leave the Machane Shechina, but he can go in Machane Liviyah. The second one is called Machane Liviyah. A person in the Zav needs to leave Machane Liviyah, and a person in the Mitzorah needs to leave even Jerusalem, the whole city confines. So here we see the pasuk speaking about people got to leave the Bet HaMikdash. What does it say? V'yishlechu min ha'machane kol tzarua v'kol zav v'kol tameh nefesh. Yeah, the Gemara says, Yamer tmei mitim v'ad yomer zavin mitzorein. V'ani omer im tmei mitim mishtarechin zavin mitzorein nokol sheken. Well, the more severe tuma is going to be a zav and a mitzorah. In levels of severity of impurity, there is the tameh met, to touch the corpse, that's low level. Higher level is the zav, who had the emission coming out of him. and the higher level than that is Metzorah, that his whole body is like a leopard. These are 3 levels. So if the lower level, when he's Tameh, needs to leave the Beit Mikdash, so for sure the higher levels need to leave the Beit Mikdash. So why doesn't the Pasuk just say the Tameh and Met should leave the Beit Mikdash, and the other guys, we don't need to write the other guys, because they're automatically going to leave. If level 1 needs to leave, for sure level 2 and level 3 needs to leave. Ella, so rather, the fact that the Torah did say this, and a Yesh Lichasha, we're in Samech Zayin Amoud Aleph at the top, Yesh Lichasha, Shezavin u'mitzoarin mishtanichin, v'entmeimin mishtanichin, really, because there is actually a place, if we would only tell you that the Tamimet, it's not exact, because there's a time where the Tamimet is there, and the other ones are not there. There's a moment where you have a Tamimet, so we can't write it in that way, because it's not just the Tamimet and everybody else. No, sometimes there's a Tamimet and the other one's got to leave. So what is that time? From here we see that the Tamimet is allowed to be in the Beit Mikdash. How is the Tamimet allowed to be in the Beit Mikdash? The whole pasuk says you're not allowed to be there. There is one time where he's allowed to be there if it is a tzibur and it's a Korban Pesach. An individual can't be there. But if everybody's in a state of impurity, when it is Erev Pesach, then you bring Korban Pesach. From here, Rish Lakish learns that you're allowed to stay in the Beit Mikdash to bring the Korban Pesach. And when is that? Vezu Pesach Haba Betuma. The Gemara says, 3rd line, Amar Abaye Iachi doesn't make sense. Because the same logic we will use it in the pasuk, we're going to use it for another logic, and that logic is not valid. I lema Iachi lema nami yomar zav umetame mitim vanyomu metzora. Well, the Torah could have written another way. Write that a zav, and write that a tamemet need to leave the Beit HaMikdash, and don't write metzora. Vani omer zav mishtareach mitzorah kol sheken. Zav is level 2 of impurity. Mitzorah is level 3. So if the Torah would have written that a tamimet and a zav need to leave, you wouldn't need to leave. You wouldn't, according to your logic, you wouldn't need to write that a tamimet that a mitzorah needs to leave. It's automatic. Ella, the fact that you wrote it, what does it mean? It means that according to your logic, there are times where a zav and a mitzorah, a tamimet and a zav could be in the Beit Mikdash, and the mitzorah is not allowed to be. And Ella, yesh lichashash mitzorein mishtadechin ben zavim v'temet mishtadechin. So there would be a time that the tamimet and the zav is allowed to be there. Ve'zuzu pesach haba betuma, and that would mean that the tameh and the zav is allowed to be there korban pesach in tuma. I'll say this one more time. How does Rish Lakish want to know that a korban pesach is allowed to be run in a state of impurity? Because there's another independent pasuk that says that if a person's impure, he needs to leave the Beit Mikdash. Who are those people? It says clearly tameh met level 1. Zav, level 2, seminal mission. Metzorah, whole body is a leopard, level 3. Why does it say that? Wouldn't it be so easier to write Tabimet if all people who are 5 feet need to leave the Beit HaMikdash? So for sure a person who's 5'5" and 6 foot need to leave the Beit HaMikdash. So why do you read Tabimet, Zav, Metzorah? Just write Tabimet, clear? So the fact that the Torah wrote all 3 because the rule is not etched in stone. There's exceptions to the rules. You can have a Tamemet's there and the other ones are not there. You thought that Tamemet leaves, everybody has to leave also. That there's never a case where the Tamemet is going to be there and the other ones are going to be gone. No, if they're gone, for sure the Tamemet's gone. No, the Tamemet could be there. And when is that on Pesach? So that's why the Torah writes them all 3 to tell you that there's exceptions to the rule. If that's true, use the same logic with Tamemet, Zav, and Metzorah. Write Tamemet, write Zav, and don't write Metzorah. No Metzorah leaves. According to your logic, it must be not true as well. It means that there's a time where a Zav could be there and a Tamemet could be there. And when could that be? It could be Pesach. But that's not true, because the Zav cannot bring Korban Pesach ever in a state of impurity. Let's read that together. If you think it's true, Vatnan, Pesach haba betuma, lo yuchlu mimenu zavin, zavot, nidot, v'yoldot. Korban Pesach cannot be eaten by a Zav, Zava. Zavim is male, Zavot is female. Nidot, a woman that is Nida, she cannot eat Korban Pesach. Big problem, huh? A woman Nida can't eat Korban Pesach. V'yoldot. And the woman who gave birth to a baby, she's also tameh. She can't eat Korban Pesach until she has purity. V'machlu p'turin. Now it's not a karet if they ate it. It's not a punishment. They're patur for whatever reason. Yeah. So so you see over here that a zav, it never has a permission. Even bitzibur, they never have a permission. A zav will never have a permission to eat the tumamet. So therefore, that whole drash of Resh Lakish doesn't work. We're going back to the original of the Rabbi Yochanan. And Amar Abaye neolam mikra kama. So really, we learn from the first pasuk. Ish. The Gemara says, Im ken nichtov rachamana ish ish, ki et tameh nefesh, lamani. So now, we're going to explain, let's go back to the first pasuk. We want to know, Korban Pesach can be brought in a state of impurity for the whole community? Says Resh Lakish, yes. But actually, we can look at that pasuk two ways. Let's think about pasuk again. Ish ish, ki et tameh. He can bring Korban Pesach. So how do we look at it? We're clearly singling out something. Ish cannot bring it, so either that means a man cannot bring it today, but a community could bring it today. Or Ish can bring it today, he can bring it next month, and a community can't bring it today and not next month. Which way do we look at it? Well, there is a word over there that says tameh nenefesh. Ish ish ke tameh nenefesh. What is that word tameh nenefesh? So there's a big Rashi over here that's saying that tameh nenefesh is excluding something. It's coming to exclude Zav and Metzorah. It's definitely excluding them. Because if it would be that only the Tameh met, so if it would be all three of them, just write Tameh. All three are Tameh, level 1, 2, 3. The fact that it wrote Tameh Nefesh is only talking about the person level 1. So it's excluding level 2 and 3. For what is it excluding? That's the question. Look at it says, Ish ish ke Tameh Nefesh. Lamani. Vikitema hayne Nefesh leachi udeata. It's coming to tell you the following. Hatameh met hu dinitche lepesach sheni. Aval shar tmimin lo. Maybe it's coming to exclude that when it says tameh nefesh, so tameh nefesh, he's the only one that can't do it today, but he's going to do it next month. But the guy who touched a dead corpse, level 1. He's tameh that he touched the nefesh. He touched the dead body. Yeah. So the tameh nefesh, so what do we say? Tameh nefesh can't do today, he can do next month. So if it says tameh nefesh, it's excluding the zav and the metzorah. So the tameh nefesh can do today, and the zav can do next month, and the zav also can't do next month. That's one way of looking at it, and that's not true. V'atanya yuchal lo yeosim pesach sheni eret mitim v'shah b'derech hokra. Maybe the guy who can, because the pasuk only says that the one who can do korban pesach is the one who's tameh nefesh, and the guy was far away. What about a zav and a zavot? They can't do it, and it's orin ubare. Zavin, Mitzaruin, Ubale Nidot, a man that slept with a woman that was Nida, he's Tameh. Menayin, Talmud Umar, Ish Ish, Ish Ish. Nenefe, Ish Ish. The pasuk says the Gemera asked Ish Ish. When it says Ish Ish ki Tameh, it's true it's written in the pasuk only a guy that's Tameh Met can do the Korban Sheni, but it's also coming to the fact that the Torah said Ish Ish twice. It's telling you that even a Mitzorah and a Nida and a Yoledet and a Mitzorah can also do Pesach Sheni. So the word in Nefesh is excluding Mitzorah, but it's not excluding it for that purpose. So what is it excluding it for? Nefesh dichtav rechamanan lamani, and leachi de'erachi kama. Ish nitche lePesach Sheni, ven tzibur nitche lePesach Sheni. The pasuk says,
is it because Tameh Nefesh is tumat met? It's more severe? Tameh nefesh is a tumat met. More worse than
Tameh nefesh is tumat met, it's less.
It's abatuma.
It's avatuma, but it's less. Zav mitzvah is also tameh, but it's a higher level. We're going to see why later. It's more tameh. So the pasuk says, "Ela achi kamar ish nitche lePesach Sheni ven tzibur lePesach Sheni. Ela avde betuma, ki avde betzimur betuma." So the word nefesh is coming to say like this. Ish is pushed off to the next month. A tzibur is not pushed off. So why does the pasuk say the tameh nefesh? Because only tameh nefesh is allowed to do it b'tzibur today, and not mitzorah and zav allowed to do it b'tzibur.
So zav and nida and all these, they're going to have the
Pesach Sheni, exactly right. What we just came out over here is that we're learning. I'll just repeat you what the drash was. The pasuk says, "Ish ish ki ish ish." Daber ben Israel, "Ish ish ki tameh nefesh." A man that is ish ish, which we don't understand what that means. That touched the dead corpse. He can't do Pesach today. When he's going to do it? He's going to do it in 1 month. Very good. So what is our drash? Ish cannot do it today, but a community can do it today. What do you do with ish ish? Why is it said ish ish? Because the one who can't do it today, he's an individual, he's singular, he can't do it today. He can do it next month. Also, what's not written in the pasuk, the zav and the mitzorah. Here it only says ish ke tameh nefesh. But what a guy that's a zav? Can you do it next month? Yes, ish ish. Now, what does the pasuk say? Tamin nefesh. It's coming to exclude something of the zav and mitzorah. Yes, the zav and mitzorah. When the pasuk says ish is pushed off to next month, but not a community, that's only tamin nefesh. Tamin nefesh, if it's not pushed off for the next month, they're allowed to do it today. They're allowed to, but not a zav and mitzorah. A zav and mitzorah cannot do it today. If they're a community, they can only do it next month. Bottom line, the alachot nemaseh is that if an individual is tameh, whether it's nefesh or zav or mitzorah, he doesn't do today Korban Pesach, he does next month Korban
Is
Pesach.
he still Zav and Mitzorah?
Too bad, you gotta make yourself pure. Yes.
He
can't do it. He misses it till next year. Too bad. Can't
So
do
he
it.
cannot do it.
Can't do it. Now, if it is a community that is tameh, if it's tmei nitim, they can do it today. But if it is a community of zav and mitzoraim, they cannot do it today. They're going to be pushed off to next
So
month.
for sure, every year it was Pesach Sheni in Bizman Bet HaMikdash.
Sure,
There
always.
is no way
Tons,
that
tons of people were. A lot of people were not around. People were not. They couldn't take a flight. And a lot of people are Yoledet and Zav and Zavim and all these people. Tons of people were doing Pesach Sheni.
You're allowed to do
What do you
Bizman.
mean? If somebody was away,
It's only
Yeah,
Zav and Zav.
but not on purpose.
So, but the
Person got stuck. He was traveling.
Yeah.
He couldn't, and his horse died. What do you want to do?
That's it.
Go weiter. Amar Rav Chizda. Okay. Remember what I told you before? We're going back to the other pasuk. Now we're taking a little pasuk called Ban Pesach. Remember that a person that is impure has different levels of where he can stay in Jerusalem. There is the most holy place, which is the Kodesh HaKodeshim, and that's the Azara. That's called Machane Shechina. So the Azara, the whole courtyard of Bet Mikdash, until a certain Shar, which I think Shar Nikino, if I'm not mistaken, that is called Machane Shechina. The second level, where it's just around it, which is Har HaBayit, is called Machane Leviyah, where they're living. This was also corresponding to the desert. In the desert, there was Mishkan, there was the living around it, and there was Am Yisrael living around it. 3 levels: Machane Shechina, Leviyah, and Israel. So that if a person is, and in Israel, and in time of the Bet Mikdash, it was the Azara, Antonikino, it was the Har HaBayit, that mountain space, where even right past the Kotel, right outside the Kotel, if you go on the other side of the Kotel, Har HaBayit, you see where they have their mosque, Yimach Shemam? So that whole open space is called the Har HaBayit, and there is not inside the Bet Mikdash.
It's called the Chel.
The Chen, maybe. It's not inside the Bet Mikdash, it's called Har HaBayit. That's called Machane Leviyah, second level. And the third level is all the walls of Jerusalem, which Jerusalem is not the Jerusalem we know today. It's actually all the way till Mea Sharim, believe it or not. Actually, when they built the Breslover Shul in Mea Sharim, they built it right inside the Yerushalayim Amiti. The Yerushalayim Shidpam, that's why they chose that place. That is the building that is right inside the place of Yerushalayim, the Jerusalem. Hanof and all that, and even bells and all that, it's not the Yerushalayim Shidpam. Today it's Yerushalayim, the city of Yerushalayim, we love it. But the real Yerushalayim of the Bet Mikdash was the old city. Old city till Mea Sharim, that point. And of course they had different levels on each side. So now what are the levels of Tumah? If a person is, any type of Tumah needs to leave the Bet Mikdash. Okay? You can't stay in the Azara. Tamimet leaves the Azara, he can stay in the Machane Leviyah. Azav needs to leave also Machane Leviyah, the Har HaBayit, and he can stay in Jerusalem. A Metzorah needs to leave the whole city. He has to stay Yoshev Badad Vidon. He's outside completely. So these are the 3 levels. So let's read that today. Read that together. Amar Rav Chizda, Metzorah shenichnas lifim mitzato patur. Now it's a lo ta'aseh. And don't forget, when you have a lo ta'aseh, there's a makot on a lo ta'aseh. A person who ate pig, a person who ate basar v'chalav, lo tevasher gered b'chamimo, you can't eat it, you get makot. Usually the punishment for a lo ta'aseh is lashes. What about a person who is a mitzorah, that is a mitzvah, lo ta'aseh, he has a mitzvah of not staying in Jerusalem. He has a mitzvah of not staying inside, so he has a lo ta'aseh, he can't stay here. But if he came into Jerusalem, he doesn't get makot. Why not? Amar Rav Chizda, mitzorah shenichnas lifim mitzato patur. He doesn't get makot. Why not? Pasuk says, "Shnimar badad yishev mechutz lemachaneh moshavo." Hakatuv natno naseh, natno naseh, natno naseh. So he has a lo ta'aseh, he got to leave. Do not stay in Jerusalem. Do not stay in the Machane Israel. But it also says yishev badam, stay outside. So stay outside is a positive. You have a positive command to stay outside of the city limits.
Is Mekayem Aseh when you do that?
Yes, he's Mekayem and Aseh. He's an Aseh and a lo ta'aseh. So you have an Aseh, and anytime you have a call lav anitak le'aseh, whenever the Torah says you don't do this and do the opposite of it, you don't get makot, because we turn the lo taseh into an aseh and there's no lashes. The same way, if you don't put on tefillin, you don't get lashes. If you don't wear tzitzis, you don't get lashes. You don't get lashes on something that's a positive commandment. If you didn't eat matzah, you don't get lashes. If you didn't eat the matzah, you don't get lashes. If you didn't take the lulav, you don't get lashes. Why? Because in a aseh, you don't get lashes. So if we connect the lo taseh to an aseh, so automatically you don't get lashes. That's what it says over here. So he says, hakatuv netako leaseh. Itive. We challenge this. Mitzorah shenichnas nifim mitzato b'arbaim. We have another braita that says the opposite. If you have a person that is mitzorah and he came into the city confines, he gets makot. Zavin zavot nichnesu lifnim mitzatan b'arbaim. And also you have a zav and a zavad that they came into they're not allowed to come into the Beit Mikdash. They came into the Mikdash. They also get arbaim. Arbaim is makot. V'tamin nefesh mutar likanes l'machane livya. Now a person that is tamin nefesh, that he touched the corpse, he's allowed to come in to the second level, Machane Liviyah, which is outside the Beit Mikdash. He's allowed to be in the Har HaBayit. And how do we know? How do we know that's true? V'lo tameh met bidvad, and afilu met atzmo. You can even bring a corpse in the Har HaBayit. Har HaBayit is allowed to have a corpse. That mountain where the Beit Mikdash is, where the Kotel is, a little bit inside the Kotel, you're allowed to have a dead person there. How do we know this true? Shenema v'yikach Moshe et atzmot Yosef. Imo. Moshe Rabbeinu took the coffin of Yosef Tzaddik. Yosef Tzaddik was a niftar, and we have, interesting, Yosef Tzaddik is a niftar, and Moshe Rabbeinu is a Levi. So he's a Levi.
From there we learned that he was no metamin.
Okay, so either you look at it this way or that way, you see? But either way, the met, whether it's Tameh or not, is allowed to be in Har HaBayit. How do we know from Yosef? Because Yosef was being carried by Moshe. Moshe was a Levi, he's in Machane Liviyah, so it's allowed to be there. Imo b'nechatzo, Tanahi. So what do we have? Our question is very clearly, when does a lo taseh you get makot? So for example, a zav is not allowed to come to the Har HaBayit. That's level one. He's a zav, he can't go, if he gets comes there, he gets makot. But a mitzorah, he's not allowed to come into the city, into Jerusalem. Does he get makot? One opinion which just says no, because there's an aseh with it, and one opinion says yes. So what is it? How do we answer this? Tanai, it's a machloket tanaim. You can have two Tanaim that disagree on halacha. The Tanya, Badad yishev levado, yishev shelo itmin acherim yoshvin imo. What do you do with the pasuk? Badad yishev imo. So one way of looking at it is it's a mitzvah aseh to be outside. Or another way of looking at it, like this opinion, it's not a mitzvah aseh. It's telling you the halacha that we just told you, that each place has their own, each tameh has their own place to be. Badad yishev levo shelo yutmim acherim yoshvin imo. That the other tameh people should not be with him. Yachod yu zavin utmei metim mishtalichim l'machane achat. Could it be that the zav is all the way alone? He's outside of the city. Could it be that the zav, that's the mitzvah? Could it be that the zav and the tameh met should be together in one place? Pasuk says lo yitemu et mahanehem. It says they should not impurify their camps. Their camps is plural and not singular. It doesn't say they should not impurify their camp. It says their camp. So you see that even the Tameh Met, level 1, and Zav, number 2, has different places to be. What did we just see? What are we discussing? It's very clear that a Mitzorah needs to leave Jerusalem. Again, like we said, there are 3 levels, right? There are 3 levels of Tumah, and there are 3 spaces. One space is level 1. It's the Azara, the Beit Mikdash itself. That everybody needs to leave on their Tameh. But the Tameh Met, he's the lowest level of Tumah. He can stay in the Har HaBayit. He can stay in the area of the Beit Mikdash, outside the Beit Mikdash. You have a picture?
No. Tous les niveaux. Eser kedushotem.
Beautiful. Eser kedushotem. Eretz Yisrael mekudusha מהכל הארצות. Israel is the most holy. ומהי קדושתה שמביאים ממנו, it's a whole משנייס. הר הבית. So next. לפנים מן החומה מקודש מהם. Then you have הר הבית. Then you have החן, very good. Then you have עזרת נשים. Okay, so you have all the levels over here. If you only want to see the beautiful Mishnah Masechet Kenim, it's at the end of Musaf here in this Siddur, amazing Siddur. So it's saying all the levels. So but here we're talking about 3, that the Tameh Met needs to leave the Azara. The Levi can, the Zav, he can stay in the next place. The Zav needs to leave even the Har HaBayit, he can stay in Yerushalayim. And the Mitzorah needs to leave Yerushalayim. These are all lo taseh. If you go in the place which you're not allowed to, you get makot. However, does the Mitzorah also get matot when he leaves when he comes into Jerusalem? So that's a machloket. It all depends on what you do with the pasuk Yeshev Badad. He has to sit alone. Is that a mitzvat aseh? So we're making him leave Jerusalem. A lo taseh, you can't stay in Jerusalem, but stay outside. You have an aseh. If it's an aseh, there's no makot. Or do you use this pasuk? That's the way we learned before. Or do we use this pasuk to teach us that each tameh has a different place? That the Mitzorah has to be out of Jerusalem. That the Zav can stay in Jerusalem, but he can't go into the Harabayit. And the Tamemet can stay in Harabayit, but he can't go into the Beit HaMikdash. Is that what we use the pasuk for? If we do, then there's no aseh on the Mitzorah, and therefore the Mitzorah has only a lot aseh, and we'll get makot. Rabbi Shimon Omer, so how do we learn according to Rabbi Yehuda? Rabbi Yehuda says, you learn the pasuk Yeshev Badad, to tell me that the Mitzorah can be in the place of the Zav. And you learn the other pasuk, Lo yitamut mahanehem, that the Mitzorah, the Zav, and the Tamemet should not impurify their mahanehem, plural. He can't stay here and he can't stay here. It doesn't say mahanam. They have to leave their mahanam, meaning that they both go to different places. So Rabbi Yehuda has psukim to teach that each one goes to different places. Therefore, the Yeshev Badad is not a aseh, and therefore you get makot under not aseh. But Rabbi Shimon Omer, eno tzarich. I know it's complicated. Rabbi Shimon en tzarich, arei hu gomer, visharechu et min hamahne, kod tzarua, v'kod zav, v'kod tamen nefesh. Rabbi Shimon says, you don't need psukim to tell me that each one has a different place. We learn it from somewhere else. The fact that the Torah tells you that all three need to leave, Yomar Tmei Met, V'ad Yomar Tmei Zav, V'ani Omer Tmei Metim Mishtarchim Zavim Lokol Shekem, like we said before. The whole drasha we learned before is actually a valid drash. To tell me that they need to leave the Beit HaMikdash, just tell me that a Tamei Met needs to leave. Why need to tell me a Tamei Met and a Zav Mitzorah? If Zav is more impure, and Mitzorah is the highest impurity, if a Tamei Met needs to leave, so for sure they need to leave. The fact that you didn't tell me that, and you told me that all three need to leave, means that they all have different places to where they need to go to. So why it was written Zav? That he has a different place to go. So say Zav, and Yomer Tzorah, ואני אומר, זבים משתלחים מצורים לא כל שכן, למה נאמר מצורע ניתן מחנה שלישית, כשהוא אומר בדד ישב, הכתוב נתקו לעשה. So you see that the fact that the Torah says all three need to leave, I'll repeat that one more time. According to Rabbi Shimon, the Torah says, a Met and a Zav and Mitzorah all need to leave the Beit Mikdash. The guy touched the corpse, the guy had a seminal mission, the guy became a Mitzorah, they all need to leave the Beit Mikdash. Thank you very much. Save me time. Write me Met, Tamei Met, and I'll know the other ones. No, the fact that we read all three, they all need to, three need to leave in different places. Met, Tamei Met, you can go here. Zav, you need to go here. Mitzorah, you need to go here. So we already know that they all have to have separate places. So what do we do with the pasuk Yeshev Badad? The Mitzorah needs to stay alone. It's a mitzvat aseh. If it's a mitzvat aseh, you don't get makot if you didn't listen. But according to Rabbi Yehuda, he doesn't learn like that. Rabbi Yehuda learns the Yeshev Badad is to tell you he has this place, and that they should not impurify their mahanehem. So they see that they have two different camps, they have different places, and therefore the aseh, that Badad, is not an aseh. It's to tell him where he needs to go.
Well,
and therefore he will get makot. Huh?
Come back to the way it said, if you're not allowed to go into this place, or if you have to stay in this place, no? You have a mitzvah to be outside.
only the mitzvah.
So therefore, according to Rabbi Shimon, it's a mitzvah to stay there, and according to Rabbi Yehuda, it's not a mitzvah. It means that you gotta stay. You have a different place to go
You're not allowed to go there.
meaning you're not allowed to go in the other place. Exactly right. We'll stop here. Beruchim to you.
Hazak Uva.